Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Welcome back to the Ninja Selling Podcast. Matt and Garrett back with you again. And happy holidays, everybody. We are in the throes of the holiday season. Today, this one is releasing on Christmas Day.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
For all of you that are taking your Christmas Day to listen to this episode, we just want to tell you how much we appreciate you. And then as soon as this is done, go back to your families.
Yes. Good point.
We appreciate you and thank you so much. If you're tuning in for the first time, if you want to learn more about what we're talking about and where all of our thoughts and ideas kind of resonate around, go check out ninjaselling.com. You can go check out the book by Larry Kendall, which is Ninja Selling. And if you want to be with like-minded individuals like you who enjoy this podcast, go check out the Ninja Selling podcast community on Facebook. With that being said, we're getting ready for today's episode. And I said to Matt, I said, this day that you guys are all in right now, and some of you are listening to this after the fact, but Christmas Day, I had made the joke. I told Matt, I said, this is about giving. It's about giving gifts and taking care of one another. He goes, well, it's actually a much bigger thing than that, of what this holiday is all about. But for the most part, like what we use it as a lot of people in our world use this as a time to say thank you and to give gifts of recognition to the people that you love. And I'm watching my family right now because this is dropping on Christmas, but right now we are getting ready for Christmas in my household. And it's really fun to watch my kids as they've gotten older right now. It's not just about, just buy a gift. I need to get a gift for somebody. Like they are really thinking about what's going to be special to that person that they're getting this gift for. My son, for the first time, it took him 16 years to get to this place where he's like, I think I have a really good idea for my sister. And I told my wife, and she was like, oh my gosh, like he's really thinking about this, like really paying attention to it. And it's so much fun to watch because really in his heart, what he wants to do is make her happy. He wants to do something for her that's going to make her feel good, which brothers and sisters, I'm finding as I'm raising kids, that doesn't come very often. Take those little moments like, ooh, I think I did something right. So I think this is a moment right now for us to stop. And one, you hopefully are spending a day, and hopefully have been spending the last week or so, 2 weeks, because I feel like Christmas kind of spills out as we kind of take care of people and do nice things. And this is a great time to also relate this back into your business and into your world and be like, how am I really taking care of my people? What kind of things am I doing that are making them feel special on a day-to-day basis, not just once a year? And I don't think it's in the form of gifts, like in the physical gift. Gifts to make people feel good can come in so many different packages and ways. And sometimes it's just the words we say. And Matt, that's where I wanted to go down this route with you today. So good morning, sir. And let's jump on in.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. And Merry Christmas to everybody if you're listening on Christmas Day again. And I hope that you're having a wonderful holiday. So I think this is a really fun topic because, when we think about celebrating other people, we do it at milestone occasions, right? Christmas time, we're celebrating each other, as you said, with the gift giving, birthdays, anniversaries, we celebrate people, but what are the things that we do to celebrate the people in our world every single day? And is there a way that we can build those celebrations into how we run our business? And I think there absolutely is. I think some of this, Garrett, starts with a mindset. Right before we hit record, I said, Duke, what if you focused on, hey, how is there a way I can celebrate the person I'm about to just have a conversation with? What would be a way to celebrate that person in this moment? Initially you're like, that sounds weird. Like, I don't know. And then as you think about it, like, wait a minute, I could just acknowledge that person for something, or I could smile, give them a high five, and just share in the joy of us being alive and being here. There's all these things that I think we can do, just starting with our mindset of how do we approach everyday interactions as a celebration. Like that would be a really cool thing to weave in, wouldn't it?
I had this thought of, this actually came up a long time ago, but it's kind of circulating more in me that, there's a gift of time that we give everybody every single day. And time we kind of take for granted. We don't, I think you take it for granted until you find yourself running out of time. Now, I'm not talking about like time at the end of the day, bigger picture time.
Like time at the end of life.
End of life.
Oh no.
And I
Yeah.
think that, if you look at this life, if you look back at all the time you've given to everybody in your life, there's time that you've given to people that you really appreciate, and there's time that you've given to people that you really are tolerating for that moment. And I think that's like, there's this great moment when you can look back and say, okay, who are the people that I'm really happy that I gave my time to? I shared my energy that I had while I was on this planet. And then you start to look forward, and there's a lot of people that we choose to be around. I had an amazing dinner last night with some great friends that if I look at like my value of my time that I used last night, very, very, very good use. So that gift of my time to them, but also the gift of their time to me. Like the mere fact that they choose to spend their time in my environment just with my wife and I, they may be there just for my wife, and I can totally appreciate that. They might even say that. But I think that like there's all these gifts that are given all the time. And sometimes we look over them of how like it's just time. It's just what we're doing. It's the day that we had. And I would encourage you to look more so on the gift that they're giving you, their time that they're choosing to spend with you, and the time that they're spending to not spend with somebody else. And that is really important. Like it's a subconscious thing, but it means a lot. And I think we just need to slow down sometimes and understand like the power of what we're giving and what we're taking with other people.
That's a really good point, because I when we were thinking about this, I was thinking of this in the way of how do we like do the outgoing celebration. But when you do think about that, is we're always exchanging this gift of time. And when other people are giving it to us, then we're approaching every meeting, every situation, every conversation with, this person is celebrating me. Like they're giving me this gift of their time. What an amazing celebration of me that is. Now, I'm not in a selfish way of like, I'm so awesome that this person's giving me time. I mean that in like a genuine, like, how do you feel when people celebrate you? We feel grateful. We feel, happy. We feel like, wow, that's so nice that this person cares about me. And so you kind of like add this, I want to have this mindset of, I want to celebrate this person in front of me, and combine that with this mindset of just extreme gratitude that this person is taking the time to give me this gift of their time and celebrate me. It's like a like explosion of, I think, like awesome energy that you can bring to a relationship.
Well, if you think about like, so in Ninja, we lean a lot into the phone, and we're always like, you use the phone. Phone is a way that you can make connections with people. And we always try to analyze that phone of like, well, what do I say? What are the things that are going to make that phone call powerful? And I have found the phone to be the most powerful thing for me is that when I call people, usually it's to say thank you. Let's say I get a handwritten note. People will say, I'll call them back. And they'll say, like, you didn't have to call me. Like, I can't believe you're calling me right now. And what they're realizing, what the exchange there is that I'm stopping my day, stopping what I'm doing, and I'm giving them a section of my time, of my world, to acknowledge them now. I think that's why the phone is so powerful, is if you're truly using it properly, if you're really engaging in who that person is, not doing it just as a system of like, oh, I've got to make my phone call stay. And you sit on the phone and you're like, okay, first call. Hi, how's it going, Matt? Yep. How are the kids doing? Okay. Like get off the phone. It's like, no, what if you really took that time? You made it valuable for them because it's their time. And you made it valuable for you by building up the energy around this for the time that you're spending. Like it's a lot of, I think, why the relationship style of this business works. It's the exchange of time, whether it's the phone, whether it's taking the time to write a handwritten note. I've received some of the nicest handwritten notes in the last couple of weeks, and they weren't just thrown together. It wasn't just a couple words. It's a full-on written note, front and back, filling in all the gaps. And that took them some time to sit and think about it. And they thought about it. The time was invested from the moment they're like, I think I want to write Garrett a note, to I'm going to pick this piece of paper to write it on, to here's what I'm going to put. And the thoughts didn't just flow out. You typically think about what you want to say, what you want to write. Like they gave me a lot of their time. And that's where I find it's like to acknowledge that, and with my time to come back to them and say, thank you. Where a lot of us, we get a handwritten note. We're like, oh, that was nice. And we put it on the counter and we're like, but it's like you can make even a bigger gift of that time, a bigger gift of building that relationship by going back and throwing the energy back that direction.
Totally good.
And we have these opportunities in our days all the time. They're all around us. And so many of us, that's what I was saying earlier, I think sometimes we don't realize the value and the preciousness of time until we are starting to run out of that. And like,
yeah,
we have the opportunity right now.
Well, so from a business perspective, right? Hopefully all of y'all have a business plan completed or near complete. Unless you're brand new to us and you're like, I've never even heard of doing a business plan. Well, that's the whole nother conversation. But what if we layered on top of that business plan, Garrett, a question that we can ask ourselves every week, that is in this plan that I have, in these actions that I have, set out for myself this week, this month, this quarter, who can I celebrate within that? How do I bring a celebration to these moments? And that could even be looking at like, hey, I got some organizational work that I got to do today. How do I celebrate that? And how do we add this element of celebration, gift giving into our business, like the everyday stuff? I'm not talking about figuring out what can we do to level up our closing gifts or things like that. Hopefully that's been decided in your plan already if that was something you wanted to do. But this exact element that we're talking about here of celebrating somebody through these non-tangible gifts that we take for granted a lot of the time.
Well, I think we can look at that with every single system that's in front of us. Like all the systems of the Ninja Nine. You can look at each one of those and say, is this a system that I'm doing to create more business, or is this a system that I'm doing potentially to celebrate somebody? And Matt, I mean, I think it's just takes it to a whole nother level when you look at, and that's why I used the phone calls as an example a second ago, which is, it's one thing of doing the system. It's another thing of, what if I made a list of people today to celebrate? I think it's it is one of the reasons that early on the weekly agenda that we have, I wrote on there, who are the 10 people I want to write notes to this week? That gave you the opportunity first thing Monday morning to sit back and say, who are the people that I want to celebrate something special for this week? And this is funny because a lot of people, and I've seen people do this where they're like, oh, I'm going to write down 10 people so that it's easier when that time comes that I can make sure I can get my 10 notes out the door. Well, that's one way of looking at it. But the other way that I really would encourage people is that, who are people that I want to make feel special this week? Who are people that I want to give a gift to? And that gift is my energy going to them, is what it is. That is the gift. And I think, Matt, what if we all took, now I know you kind of like pumped your chest a second ago, like, I'm special, but like, what if we realized how big of a gift we are to others?
Have confidence in what you bring. Yeah, I think that's good.
Knowing that I can change somebody's day, make somebody feel better, make somebody's moment of despair, all of a sudden give them a little bit of a lift so that they can feel better and approach life better. Like, we all have the ability of doing that for people. That's not the gift that I have that's only me or only Matt. Like, every single one of you out there have this ability of doing it. And I think when you go and you start building your weeks out and building your days out, understanding that you can positively affect and give a gift to every single person that you come in contact with that day, that's something that I think all of us need to appreciate a little bit more. Let's just say that.
Marianne Williamson writes this in Our Deepest Fear, which is something that we read in the Ninja Selling installation. It's a piece that they brought into that to share, because she says, hey, your playing small does not serve the world, right? And at the end, she says, as you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. So taking in that confidence to say, hey, you know what? I have the opportunity to be a gift. I am a gift. I am bringing value to people is not an ego thing. I mean, it can become that for sure, but it's not. It's an opportunity to really lift other people up with your own energy. So I'm all on board with that, Garrett. I think that's good. And it's funny, as you're going through the note thing, I was thinking of other systems, and I was thinking of the real estate review.
Yeah.
And thinking like, a lot of times we look at that as like, hey, this is, everybody I think agrees that is a great piece of value that we can bring to our people. But we focus so much on the numbers with that, which is important because that's what it is. But what if you made it like, hey, this is a real estate review, but it's really a celebration of home ownership with these homeowners. Like, we got to go there.
Oh, man, way to go. Why have you held out on us this long?
I don't know, but here it is. You look at this, you're like, hey, if you're doing it, for the most part, you probably know why they bought that house that they're currently in if you helped them buy it. If you didn't help them buy it, hopefully through conversation, you've learned why they live in that current home. And what if we brought that and celebrated why they're there and celebrate, hey guys, let's just take a moment to celebrate this home that's been serving you, that you guys have found that it's allowing you to live out, your life with a shorter commute, allowing you to have the opportunity to watch your daughter grow up riding a bicycle on the cul-de-sac versus the double yellow line street that you were on before, to have the view that you wanted to have, or to have the extra space, the home office, or just to have, you've always wanted to own a home. Let's just celebrate that you guys have this home and that it's playing a wonderful role in your lives. I mean, even if it's a pain point, even if like people have said like, hey, we're stressed with the size of this home, if we still celebrate it, bring that gratitude in there, it's going to change their whole perspective on how they're going to be able to go out and find the next home if that's what they really want to do. But the real estate review should be a celebration of home ownership.
So I really like this idea of turning it into a celebration of home ownership, because I also think, because this house I'm in right now, I've lived here longer than any home I've ever been in. And it's funny how you start to take home for granted. I love this house. I absolutely love it. And but I remember there was a time when I bought this house that there was things that I used to just stand there and look at in amazement going, oh my gosh, this is like my house. And it's funny is then you start to like become, you just bought a house.
Yeah.
You have a house right now that you have a view of a pond in your backyard. And I guarantee you,
it's a lake.
It's a lake. Sorry.
Lake.
I've never been there. Sorry. Lake.
It's not really, I mean, it's a very big pond. We call it a lake though. I guess I don't know if there's a certain size that goes from pond to lake, but
does it have a name?
Well, it's St. John's Lake. That's the name of the community.
All right,
So
all right,
I guess
we'll
that's the lake that it's called. Yeah.
We'll roll with it. So I think that there's a moment like when you first buy a house like that you find yourself standing in the backyard, kind of taking it in. Let's go sit by the lake pond. Let's go sit by it in the evening. And, and over time, that can just become kind of just part of your world when you don't appreciate it quite so much. And we all know the first house we ever bought. I remember that first house, that first moment of walking into it with key in hand that this was my home. I remember that better than any house I ever bought. And that moment, I think we have that ability of celebrating with them and bringing that energy back around and celebrating with them how special this house still is. Because if somebody wanted to sit with me on my back porch with the review and we could talk about like the uniqueness of this house and what it is, it would ground me back to like how special some of these things are that we just, again, start to take for granted every single day. I think it's a great way to look at the real estate review rather than making it so darn mechanical of, here's your home value. Here's what it was when you bought it. Here's how much appreciation you've had. Like, here's how you compare to other homes in your neighborhood. Like, that's very mechanical.
Yeah.
And I can understand why there's people out there that go like, I have a hard time doing my real estate reviews because it's very mechanical. But Matt, like your approach.
And listen, there's value there,
There is.
By the way. I don't want to say like you've been doing it wrong. Not at all.
But your approach that when we talk about people that get excited about doing real estate reviews rather than I just did my real estate reviews and I do them routinely, like your way of looking at it as like a gift of home ownership and celebrating that with them, like that's something that I think is going to, as I said, you've been holding out on the people, Matt. Like what is going on?
What if instead of calling it our annual real estate review, we called it our annual home celebration?
Celebration of home ownership.
This sounds amazing. Like
done.
I'm ready. Like, let's go. I want to do it. But this is exactly, I mean, it's funny that comes up. By the way, if you haven't figured out by now, these podcasts are not scripted. So
yeah,
that's how these things come out. But that's the energy that I think we can, and I think the idea of just brainstorming, how can we celebrate people? That's why that came out, because we started this episode saying, hey, what if we talked about how we celebrate others in our life and our business? And it led to inspiring that. So imagine if you have this prompt in your business every week of who can I celebrate? What can I celebrate with other people? Imagine the ideas that you're going to have. Imagine what's going to come out of your brain of like, man, this, I'm going to celebrate this with John today because, maybe it seems small, right? Maybe John had a win at pickleball or something. And you're like, hey, you know what? Let's go celebrate that. It's like, let's turn everything into an awesome celebration. Doesn't mean you have to go like throw big parties every single time. Because now I imagine like everybody like, man, I gotta like do these big things. No, it's just simple acknowledgments, conversations, and just coming with a smile too.
It's like this weekend, my friend bought himself, he and his wife, they bought a toy car, like a fun car, goof off car, because it doesn't serve any purpose other than putting this little smile on your face when you drive it on the weekends.
That should be every car that we drive, by the way. Like, Buy a car that makes you smile.
They bought a 1950s, I'm not sure what year, Porsche 356. Oh, it is gorgeous.
Oh.
Bright red, tan leather interior, like white wall tires. It is phenomenal.
That sounds amazing.
Like, I'm going to go over there this weekend. One, I want to see the car. But second is like the celebration of that car. Like, I know when I talk about it with them, they get a stupid smile on their face. And I think that that's the things that we need to look at is like, how can we find those things in people's worlds? These are the little gifts we give. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't, but it does take me taking my time out of my day, going over there to basically acknowledge them and see if I can get that grin to come across her face again. And we have these opportunities all the time. Maybe he'll let me drive it. We'll see.
That would be cool too.
That would be a gift to me. If he was a good person, that's what he would do.
At the least, you'll probably get a ride in it.
I will probably get to drive it. We're pretty good friends.
So
hopefully.
I love this idea, Garrett. I mean, I think so kind of the action item for everybody here is to think about how do you want to weave this into your business? How do you prompt this? How do you weave this into your life? And just give yourself those reminders to have celebrations, because we all feel good when we celebrate things. So why not try to find ways to do that every single day? Like if you always, who feels bad when you're celebrating something that you care about, I should say? You feel good. So let's bring that good feeling every day. I think it'll be awesome. So thanks for bringing up this idea, Garrett, because it's a good one. It's a good one for sure.
Thanks, man. Thanks for sharing some time with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And
you share a lot of time with me, by the way. You gift me a lot of time of your life.
Yeah, and you gift me a lot of yours, and I want to thank you for that, because it's impacted my life in a very positive way.
It's been so for me.
it's been okay. It's had better. And I want to thank everybody for gifting us their time as well, for listening, and particularly for a lot of you who were sharing like your Spotify replays, however that works. I don't use Spotify, so I don't have that like thing that tells me.
I saw those.
And the amount of minutes that people listen to the podcast, like, guys, thank you so much, because you are gifting us a whole lot of time when I see that minutes, and we really do appreciate it. And I want to just thank you all and wish you all a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas to you guys. Hope that you have a blessed day, and thanks so much for tuning in, and we're going to keep this rolling, no doubt.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a great day.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.